Hi there, it's Jen from modernmedicinelady.com and the Empathic Woman System, and the word of the day is outrage. So I think outrage is a fairly touchy subject, and I know from my own experience that when I am outraged, the last thing I want to do is let it go when I'm not ready to let it go, because I feel justified in my outrage. I feel justified in my anger, and I feel that it's completely understandable. Something is wrong, therefore I feel this way. And in my experience, when I feel those feelings of anger and outrage, a lot of times it serves as an incredible catalyst for me. It can serve as the spark that gets me going. It acts as fuel for me to take action, to make changes. And a lot of times it's the anger and outrage that actually gets me to draw the line in the sand, to look at something and stand firmly and say, no, this is not the way that I want this to be. I will not have this anymore. Or to stand up for somebody else, to defend something that needs to be defended, or to put my money where my mouth is and go donate towards causes that I really believe in that will make a difference in the world. And so I have found that anger and outrage have an incredibly valuable use when it comes to motivating me and I think other people to take action and make changes in the world. Now, right now, there's a lot of stuff to be outraged about. There's a lot of stuff that is going on where it's almost like, oh no, you didn't, and where we're just looking at things and just seeing it again and again and again. And I have certainly noticed there are people who are on a daily basis acting as whistleblowers who are witnessing what is wrong and in a very calm and grounded way just presenting the information and saying, this is happening, it's not okay, we're paying attention, we're not ignoring this. But at the same time, I've noticed that there is another phenomenon that is going on, and I'm certainly seeing it in my Facebook feed, which is this action, this quality of what I would call chronic outrage, where there are certain people that I'm seeing where they are posting links and status updates and memes and videos and other stuff, and every single post, nearly every single day, is at an emotional 10, or at least like an 8 to 10. And there's this intensity that every single post is, I'm so pissed, I'm so incensed, I'm so outraged about what is going on. And the thing is that while temporary or short-term anger and outrage is an incredibly powerful tool, our human bodies are not designed for chronic anger. We are not designed for chronic outrage, because both of these emotions cause our body to produce a lot of adrenaline, to produce a lot of cortisol, and to basically be pumping out hormones that are designed to get us to take action. These are basically the fight, flight, or freeze hormones, and they're designed to get us out of a pinch. They are not designed to be the thing that we are flooded with 24/7. Now, the challenge in my experience and in what I have seen from the research I've done in neuroscience and in energy psychology is that when we get to a certain state of depletedness, and especially when we've gotten triggered by a lot of stuff, what can happen is that that part of our brain remains frozen open, and we end up in a situation where we're constantly flooding with all of those fight, flight, or freeze hormones. And when it comes to all of the stuff that's going on right now, it's understandable that like nearly every single day, there's something new to trigger us. So if somebody has already started down that path where they got triggered by something and then another thing came along and they got triggered by that, and then another thing came along and they got triggered by that, and they're also expressing this intense emotion and keeping their emotional intensity at that really high fever pitch all the time, what happens is it goes from being something that motivates us to being something that paralyzes us, as well as something that really puts an incredible amount of stress on the human body. As I said, we are made for temporary anger and temporary outrage, not for chronic anger and outrage. And the problems with chronic anger and outrage is that it can be really damaging to our bodies as well as our emotions and our mind. Because when we're in that perpetual state, over time, it really wears us down, and it can cause not only mental and emotional stuff like chronic anxiety and chronic depression and chronic insomnia, but it can also start causing physical health issues like headaches and ultimately and eventually things like high blood pressure and heart attacks and even things like cancer, because our bodies are not meant to be in a state of perpetual distress. Now, the challenge is, how do we reboot? How do we address this? How do we calm ourselves down once we're in that state? And as you might imagine, I'm going to say tapping is a wonderful way to reboot our system. But the other piece of it is to make the deliberate choice that we're not going to continue to engage in chronic outrage. That when we see something that is annoying and frustrating and is pissing us off, we get to decide, are we going to respond to it from a calm place of this is wrong and not okay, this is still happening, or are we going to engage emotionally and bring our own emotions back up to an 8 and get into that place of being incensed? Now, personally, I believe that that is where we start to have a choice. We may not have a choice about all the shit that's going on in the world, but we do have a choice about how much we react to it versus we respond to it. And in the same way that a martial artist is much more effective at dealing with any situation that comes at them because they have been trained to be calm and responding to situations, than somebody who's just in a state of emotional anger. I really believe that right now, in order to be prepared for whatever is coming, we will be better served by being calm and responding from a place of clarity, as opposed to being so emotionally jacked up that we're in an emotional tunnel. Because when we're in these states of outrage and in these states of emotional intensity, it's much harder to see our options. It's much harder to be resilient. It's much harder to be able to make good choices, because essentially we are in what could be called a blind rage. And that is something that, ironically, the other side would love to keep us in. Because as long as we are distracted by our own emotions and we are perpetually outraged, we are going to be less likely to take real action and to do things than we are when we can acknowledge it and find our way back to our own calm center. So my question to you right now is, well, first off, just how is all of this, ringing true to you? How is this resonating for you? And where do you fall with outrage? Are you somebody who tends to experience it as a temporary emotion that acts as a catalyst and motivates you to do things? Or do you find yourself succumbing to more chronic outrage? And if you're succumbing to chronic outrage, are you indulging it? Are you engaging with it? Are you basically re-triggering yourself? Are you scratching that itch and picking that scab by sharing posts and basically engaging in a lot of emotion about stuff that honestly we don't necessarily have a whole lot of power over, at least when it comes to making a comment and hitting share on Facebook. So I would love to hear what you have to say about all of this. So please leave a comment below. And until next word of the day, I am wishing you peace. I am wishing you ease. And I am wishing you the grace and the power of outrage as fuel to take action, and the ability to reboot and find that calmness after that expression of anger. So in the meantime, please like my Facebook page, Modern Medicine Lady, and I will be eternally grateful for your help to get this video out into the world. Please like it, please share it, and please pass it along to other people who would find it useful. Thank you so much, and until tomorrow, peace.